Hello, everybody. I haven't made a video in a while, but I'm going to start making this regular because I'm actually starting to see profitability. So I want to go over what I've been doing that changed things up. And I want to go over my 2 trades on Friday. They were not necessarily massive winners, but they were just kind of regular winners. And I will go over my strategy as we talk about it. Okay, so replay trading. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, overall uptrend. When I see a breakout that gets filled, I anticipate a channel that's going to occur in the opposite direction of the breakout. This happens a lot. If I see an aggressive breakout and it doesn't come back but then continues, I anticipate a continuation in a channel in the other direction, right? Breakouts always revert to channels. Channels can sometimes continue into other breakouts, or they just enter ranges, okay? Al Brooks, love that guy. So anyways, I'll give you a little bit of an example. How would I trade this on the short side? We're at an overall uptrend, so I would probably look for longs. We have structure here, and we have structure here. If this line breaks and price moves back to structure or structure, I will look for longs. When this happens, I will look for a breakout of a trend. Here we have a breakout of a trend. Prices moved down, it moved into a structure point, right? And I'm going to look for a U-shaped conversion, all right? So a breakout of the bar, it walks down. I don't really like this entry, but why not go for it, right? Because it meets the criteria. I go for 50 points on my first entry, and my second entry, I enter both at the same time. I take 2 positions, one for 50 points, one for 100 points. The 50-point one, I win a lot. The 100-point win, I win also quite often, but the 50 points mitigates my risks. All right, and I like that. That's kind of like allows me to play with house money. So to break out and when you have a U-shaped conversion with a continuation, I will tend to draw trend lines on these. And when I draw a trend line and I see that it breaks down below it, that's totally fine. It's okay to adjust your trend line. And then when you get another continuation or another bull breakout bar in your direction, I will move my stop up to that area. So we have our entry. We have our entry here. It moves sideways. We have a trend line here. We have a bull breakout. I anticipate a continuation. I haven't hit my 50-point first target yet, so my stop isn't at break even. My entry is still here, but we have a breakout from this point, so my stop remained here. If this came down here and broke out again and I still hadn't hit my 50 points, I would move my stop up to under that breakout. Or once I hit my 50 points, my stop goes to break even. All right, my next target's at 100. Here it flushed, it continued lower. The manner that it flushed invalidated my reason for taking a trade if it moved back into the structure. I want to see that it kind of dwindles out. So again, we have this volatile pullback, pullback, pullback. I don't really like these, all right, because it gives you a shittier risk to reward. By the time we get the breakout, right, if we enter on this U shape and we had our stop here, the probability of it walking back down is really high. You can still take it and put your stop here and risking 50 points and 100 points, and you would have gotten it. But again, I like to see it creep a little bit more down and then kind of get bottled up in an area. That way I get a better risk to reward. So anyways, let's move into the trades that I did take. The first one was a loss, the second was a big win. Here we go. Okay, it's just ranging. I don't really like these ranges. I need to see volume or a breakout. And because it's walking down this trend line, it might just drop right through it. So I don't see anything yet. Okay, I see it's breaking out of the range, but still nothing really. Maybe on a decent pullback we get a big bull bar. Still in a range. Nothing interesting. Another range. Bull bar. So now we have a bull breakout. And I can say to myself, if this pulls back down into a reasonable area in this, let's call it a fair value gap, where there's a gap in volume, and it shows a continuation, I'll be willing to trade it as a continuation. Now, I didn't see this until much later. I would have liked to enter right here, and then I would have had a great trade, but I didn't. Instead, I entered up here and I took a loss. Oh, shit. And again, it's okay for me to redraw trend lines as long as the trend line goes more horizontal. So if you have a trend and it's going up, if it starts to break through it a little bit and then correct, you can just move your trend like this, but you can never move it back up. As you move it down, it needs to stay there, okay? Even if it goes way up above it. But if something breaks really far away from your initial trend line and it starts trending on its own breakout trajectory, I will draw that as it bounces up. And as it pulls back down into the original trend line area, right, strong breakout from the initial trend, pulls back into the initial trend bar, then I will trade a continuation. All right, anyways, this is my second entry, right? It broke under, it showed a confirmation here. I entered again, I put my stop under structure, just because I like this breakout bar and I want to see if it can actually hold it. As it pushed through, I move my stop up to here. So within a couple minutes of this trade on this bar right here, I move my stop up to just over my entry, which gave me a really nice entry. Going for 50 points on half the trade, 100 points on the next half. And this worked out beautifully. So I got my 50 points right here. This was the money I needed, right? So if I'm entering on any position, let's say I have a $10,000 account, which is what I'm trading on right now. If I have a 10K account and I have 2 lots, my first lot will be $50 target. My second lot will be $100 target. Whether or not that's 50 points or 15 points, it doesn't really matter to me. It's a monetary thing. It's a percent on my account. If I'm going to enter a trade, I refuse to risk more than 1%. If I accidentally, like, let's say trade USD CHF and I buy 1 lot, I've realized now that this is a heavy pair. So is XAUSD. My entries on XAUSD were 0.1 and 0.15. But if I enter on Euro USD or AUD USD, it's 1 to 2 lots because the financial value is almost the same. So you have to be careful with that. If you know you're trading a heavier pair, it's best to size way, way down on an entry and then look at what your stop's going to look like, unless you have software that's going to tell you immediately. As I entered here, I put my stop here and realized, okay, I have a 0.1 lot entry on this. I'm risking 30 bucks just on that. If I had done 2 lots, like, it would have been like 2% of my account if I had lost. Not willing to do that. Anyways, those are the trades. Now, next, AUD USD. I think it's on this one, actually. No, it's on this one. All right, so I'm not going to bother you going to the replay mode. These are my 2 trades I took on Friday. Again, we have a breakout and a correction. It's okay to go short on these. Again, if it breaks past the midpoint of the breakout like this did, it's usually a failed breakout and a continuation. We're in an overall downtrend. We have a breakout of this trend, right? We have a U-shaped conversion that fails to meet the recent high. Instead, it falls back. And because it breaks this, and we have a breakout bar here, I'm fairly certain it's going to break this. And if it's going to break this, it's going to break this too. So you can enter on this breakdown bar right here and get a really nice risk reward on these. You don't have to risk a whole lot of money either. But this is a breakdown bar. It's failing to hold above the 50% mark. The probability that it's going to break the low is super high. All right, I know they talk about Fibonacci's, if it pulls back to the 78% or whatever. It tends to fail when it does that. It doesn't tend to continue higher. It does give you a good risk to reward if you decide to go along with the trend and buy in this area if it did turn around. But the probability of it failing if it breaks the first point of structure when it tried to break out from it is super high. So you sell this bar, you put your stop here or here, right, and you go for your 50 to 100 points, and you would have got it. But again, I trade U-shape conversions and V-shape. This is a V-shape, which is just a head and shoulders. We have a fall, structure, shoulder. All red, almost all green. That's a V-shape conversion. I'm anticipating that the previous shoulder is actually the real support. We just had a breakdown and correction. That's what a head and shoulder is, right? The market is showing you its footprint. This is what it actually wanted to do. You had structure. It tried to go lower. It aggressively corrected back into it. That means there's a lot of buy limit buyers down here. Active participants are sitting down here. They're interested in this area. It may fall through eventually, but for now it looks like it's going to hold. So now I have a trade. We move into the trend line and we get a bull breakout bar. Now I want to see a decent conversion. It walks back up. We have a pull out, and then here's my entry right here. It's the same kind of entry I do over and over and over and over again. Dude, it just works really well right here. Okay, right? Push up, pull down, it walks. We had one here, but it kind of failed, right? I like to wait for the close of the bar, which is important because I've entered on before, like the last second it just dumps. Pull back, close, entry, okay? Stop below this structure because this is a pretty tight stop and I want to see what happens. I'm not risking a whole lot. I see that it aggressively pushes back up. Situations like this, I might buy as well. Stop is now here. If it breaks this, it's going to break this, and it's going to break this, and it's probably going to keep falling. As it continues up, I get my 50 points somewhere in here. But before that happens, you need to think about where you're going to move your stop up. If something moves into a trend line, you draw that trend line out. Okay, it's holding this area. If I get a very bullish breakout from the area it's holding, why wouldn't I move my stop up below that if it makes sense? If I get a bullish breakout right around my entry, well, then why not just move my stop to break even, right? So we have this bullish thing, but it's still down here, we're in the negative, we're losing. It breaks out above, so our stop can go up here, but we're still risking our money. Now we get a bullish breakout. We can move our stop up to here, but there's a possibility that this goes up to like this and then continues. So I don't want to put my stop here. I'll move my stop to break even at this point. I get my 50 points, my stop's at break even, and now we go for the 100 and we get it. Now, here is again how I would trade a continuation if you miss this. Any kind of pullback, okay, you see there's a nice pullback and you see there's a bullish bar. We get a U-shaped conversion, right? This possibly is a continuation of the uptrend. I'm okay taking something like this and going for 50 to 100 points. And you can get this over and over and over again. Bullish breakout, bar close, second bar closes really nice. We can buy here, put our stop like this, and we can just go for the 100 points, which is usually like a 3 to 1, right? And we get it. Again, bullish breakout off the trend line. It's walking off this trend line, and it actually continues higher. I wouldn't take this because this is too big of a risk, but a lot of times this happens. And then sometimes it breaks below this bar, corrects back above it, and then continuation. All right? So, like, for instance, let's see, like here, okay, it broke under the new trend line, corrected aggressively. That's an entry, stop below. Anyways, second trade. I really like the low volume candles going back into the trend line. Even though it's an aggressive sell-off and a not very convincing bounce, you got to take the trade because it meets the setup criteria. It broke the trend line. It's holding a trend line. We're in an overall uptrend. We had 3 white nights, right? 3 green candles in a row, right? Familiarize yourself with that. You got 3 black crows, 3 white nights, right? So we had the 3 white nights. We had a U-shaped conversion that failed, and then we had a nice U-shaped conversion that did not fail, and it closed near the high. I don't know if I bought here or here, but my stop was under this primary conversion point, right? As it started to break out, I could see that it was going pretty strong. It could still pull down aggressively, tap me out, and continue, so my stop is still full loss. As I hit my 50 points, stop goes to break even, I walk away, and I get my 100 points. And let me see if I can find one more example, just so I can show you what a trend line break and correction looks like. And this actually looks not too bad. So obviously I have this drawn here. I'm assuming this is a critical area. It looks like it actually did respect it. Trend line goes down. We have a break. We have a U-shaped conversion here. Cool. So we go long. I wouldn't go long this far away, but we could start to take stabs at it and say something like this. See what happens. Low volume trade. Too big of a stop. 100 points. Okay. Let's do replay on this. and we can trade this together and kind of see. Okay, so it looks to me like it has a little trend line thing going. Okay, okay, let's stop it. I mean, we know what happens, let's be honest here. I'm not like, okay, but it moves into the trend line. I had a trend line here, and then I moved to here, right? And then here, right? And then now let's see what happens. Oh, sketchy. Okay. So this happens, and people who move their stop up too hard, you get triggered out a lot. So you need to take the risk. But now what do? We move this down here. Now this looks a lot better. It looks like it's pushed down and then corrected back into this trend line. So now let's add. We'll add to the trade. This correction is great, but let's be honest, if we don't follow through on this red bar, it's going to fail. If we follow through on this red bar, there's no reason for us to leave our stop here. We might as well put it underneath these two bars. This is the structure point. If this bar breaks above, this is the structure point. So we put our stop there. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's continued higher. There's no reason for us to risk this full area. We might as well move it up here. All right, and now we have a really great risk. We're not really risking a whole lot of money. And we want to make 50 points, okay? That's our first entry. We'll make 50 points. And we want to make 100. See what happens. We'll stop down, start sweating it. Okay, so we got our 50 points, right? We got triggered out. The trend line continues. But I'm not adjusting it under here, right? Once you go horizontal, it stays there. 100 points. I don't really trade Euro USD anymore. It used to be the only pair I traded, but it's kind of shit. Let's speed this crap up. We've got all damn day. Holding nicely, it's a risk-free trade. Who cares what happens, right? Just looking at this right now, I'm like, ah, fuck, I'm not going to get it. Let's go, dude. Okay. I would like to inform you that if I don't hit my 100 points within an hour and a half, I usually cut the trade. From entry, hour and a half is like right here. I probably would have held the trade and moved the stop up to here at this point, just to be honest, right? We're really not getting a lot of conviction. Let's see if we can do one more. Okay, I really like the, and we got a breakout bar. So let's move back into the trend line that has been drawn for a while. I didn't draw that today. So assuming this means something, and now let's look for U-shape. Okay, I mean, technically we get that. It looks like it's failing, but I'm interested in this trade. Oh, yeah, I'm really interested in this trade now. Okay, I'm gonna take this right here. Put my stop under this. 50 points at least. Look at that. Fucking beautiful, man. Next target, just 100 points. Did we get it? Stops at break even, so whatever. Who cares if we don't get it? Sometime today, please. Okay, we got it. Trades yesterday, I finished 5 challenges in less than 24 hours, and I want to recap because my video got deleted on some big entries I had yesterday where I was going for a 200 point win. And I want to point this out specifically because this is like the same shit I point out every time. When you have a really big flush off, sell off, and it retraces, it turns into a channel, and it ends up channeling it up to the generation point. So we had the push up here, it started to lose steam, and I was anticipating that once we broke this low or this low, we were going to interact somewhere between here and here. And these were my entries. Because it was pulling so deep into the channel, I didn't have an opportunity to get in as it broke out of the channel, so I was anticipating it. This was my entry, and I got a full stop out on this one, unfortunately. I waited, it pulled almost into my area, and unfortunately started moving without me. So again, I took another stab at it. As it was coming up here, I held, it was going. When it came back down and it broke this low on this bar, I closed the trade out for a small loss. And then this is my actual entry, which is insane. Because it's swiping so aggressively, I do anticipate that I am going to get a really serious attempt. And I was almost out of margin, so I took a really small risk on a large size position. As I saw this little U go up and start breaking because it was holding this area, I actually took this. I think this is a little bit of luck, and I ended up taking it all the way up. And as it dumped here and pushed back up, I closed most of my positions here on 2 of my accounts, and then I let I closed up. After it dumped here, I closed here. It ended up dumping, and I got out for a 1% win on my 3rd account. However, this is London session. London loves to dump what Tokyo did and then push really hard. When this candle printed, I was anticipating that it was going to come back down somewhere around my entry and print a really bullish candle. On this, I entered full again on 2 more accounts. I closed one here. On the flag back down, I entered here. Or here, I went into a small amount of drawdown. My stop was here, and I was anticipating that as it started to push up, I would like to move my stop up to here. It pushed up, I moved my stop to here. As it pushed past this, I moved my stop to break even, and I ended up taking this for a full win here and passing 4 accounts. And then today, I took a few losses, and on one of my stage 2 accounts, and then I ended up passing the other one first day, and these are my trades. So again, we have channel, aggressive push off. I was looking at this, and this area, these green lines in this area for a retest. It simmers out, it starts to channel down. On a push up from the first line, I anticipate it still needs to go deeper, so I look for sells. As it pulled up, I took a sell, and I got a pretty decent win on this. It was about 2%. And then I saw my bread and butter setup as it was pushing into the second one. It is a 3 candle with a bold breakout. This is the same thing I keep talking about. We have a bearish dump, and then it walks back up a little tiny flag, and then you have a bull breakout. This allowed me to go really heavy in with a super small stop, and I was targeting a break of this high and a retest of either this high or this high. And I got it. And then I ended up taking another trade to pass the account, which I don't have marked, and I actually went in here with my stop underneath this. I anticipated that it might actually come down to under this candle, so I had most of my stops down here. It was a really small position. As it started to push up here, I got baited. I added and went back down into drawdown. I was trying to sit on my hands and not close it, and as it started to round out, again, same similar pattern. You get a walk up, and then you get a bull bar. So I added here again, finally moved all my stops, and then took the win off here. And these are the accounts. So days traded 1, 80% win rate, 18 profit factor. Yep, there you go. This one, I passed it on the first day. I'm waiting. Why does it look like it went down? Anyways, 8%, so I passed this one. It took me 1 day. This one took me 2 days. I'm still having to wait for it to finish. 8%, 122 to 42, 46% win rate, profit factor 2.5. This is the only one I passed yesterday. 8.2% profit. 70 to 25, 39% win rate, still have a 1.7. Failed this one, unfortunately, but this was a while ago. And then I think this is the one that I passed. So I actually had a 40% profit. This is the one that I bought yesterday on Euro USD, and I forgot that I bought it, and I woke up this morning and I was up over 800 points, which is fucking insane. So that's the win, a 43% win, but no worries. And my profit factor is still less than a 1, but average win, average loss, win ratio. So the risk to reward really is just you want to move your stop up as quickly as you can and have a really good strategy on retests. When you get the break and you have an opportunity to move your stop up, and you do, you can just let it run, and you can go for a point or like a monetary percentage. Like if you want to make 4 to 6%, then go for 4 to 6% and just move your stop up. If you're a good trader and you have a good strategy like this, it will go to your stop, it will go to your target, and you don't really have to manage the trade at that point. You're just having, it's just house money. You're not risking anything anymore, so you might as well let it go in your favor. Like Euro USD, this is a short I took. I ended up taking a loss on it, but it never really hit my full stop. But anyways, that was my entry. And it was a 10 to 1 trade, and it actually went up. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, this is crazy. That's insane. What is that? So that's the that's the $4,000 trade I got. What even is this? This is a 73 to 1. Okay, so this is absolutely ridiculous. This will probably never ever happen again. It's totally a fluke. The only reason it happened is because I forgot I even had a trade on that account. I thought I didn't take a trade on that account because I was close to max drawdown on the day. But anyways,